Hi, everybody. This is Mrs. Pearson, your elementary ELL teacher. Today we're going to focus on Chapter 12 of Bud Not Buddy and the vocabulary words 1 to 8. So for this lesson, you will need a pencil and a piece of paper or your journal. You're going to divide the paper into 3 equal parts or thirds, and then you're going to write numbers 1 to 8. So if you don't already have your materials, push pause, get your pencil and paper, and when you're ready to join me, push play. So after you write your word in the second column, you're going to write a synonym or short definition of the word. And a synonym is a word that means the same or is similar, just like combine is a synonym for mix. If you don't catch the synonym or short definition, you can always write the word a second time. And then in the third column, you can draw a quick picture or sketch to help you remember the word. So here's our learning target. I can use pictures and context clues to help me understand descriptive language like metaphors and personification from Chapter 12 of Bud Not Buddy. Here's our success criteria. That means how will you know you're successful at using pictures and context clues to understand descriptive language from the chapter? Well, here are our steps to success. I will, number 1, write down each vocabulary word. Number 2, write a synonym or short definition for each word. Number 3, listen and follow along to each quote from the chapter and look for the vocabulary word. And 4, go back and draw a quick sketch for each word. So here's our first 2 pictures. What do you notice or see about these 2 pictures? And you can say out loud, I notice. So tell me what you notice about these 2 pictures. Well, in the first picture, I notice a paper plate that's very thin and weak. In the second picture, I notice a chain that is broken. Maybe it's weak as well. So how are these pictures the same or similar? They both. So how are they the same or similar? They both show weak or cheaply made, or, now write this word, flimsy, 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 F-L-I-M-S-Y, flimsy. Flimsy means weak or easily broken, cheaply made, flimsy. And here's our quote. Lefty Lewis leaned over and reached in the glove box of the car. He pulled out a flimsy piece of yellow paper and handed it to me, Bud. So flimsy means weak. Number 2, telegraph. You might have remembered earlier in another chapter we had telegram. This is telegraph, it's related. Telegraph. Telegraph is a machine that sends coded messages. A telegraph is a machine that sends coded messages. So a telegraph was a machine that sent electrical messages over a wire. These messages were called telegrams. Most people did not have telephones. If you needed a message sent faster than the mail, then you would send a telegram. Messages were expensive to send, so people limited the number of words. Telegrams were only sent for important news. The word stop was used to signal a period or line break. All capital letters were used. Again, a telegraph message was sent by an electrical telegraph operator or telegrapher using Morse code. So, HEC, stop. HEC stands for Herman E. Calloway. Stop. Bud OK in Flint. Stop. At 4309 North Street. Stop. Return 8 p.m. Wednesday. Stop. Lefty. Stop. So every time the word stop is, it means there's a break. All right, listen closely to this figurative language type. Simile. A simile is a comparison of two things using the words like or as. His face lit up like a light bulb when he figured out the math problem. Simile. So listen again. Suddenly a siren went off, sounding like it was in the back seat of the car. So the siren sounded like it was in the back seat of the car. So here's our siren sounding like it was in the back seat of the car. It was so loud. So that is a simile because it uses the word like. It's comparing the siren to being right in the back seat of the car. Listen closely. Another type of figurative language is idiom. An idiom is a saying that has a completely different meaning than the actual words themselves. It's raining cats and dogs, so take your umbrella. So number three, write the phrase to rat out, or it really means to rat someone out. So if you rat out someone, it's to inform authority figures that a person broke the rules or the law. Rat out. And the rat is saying, he did it. And the other rat is saying, hey, don't rat me out. So to rat out means to tell on or tattle, especially to the police. Rat out. And it's an idiom. To rat out means to tell on or tattle, especially to the police or authority figures. Number 4, alias, using a false name, often to hide, also known as AKA. Also stands for A, known as K, as. Also known as, using a false name often to hide, alias. So here's our pictures. Here's our quote. Whoever heard of someone's mama naming him Lefty? That name had alias writ all over it. Lefty sounds like a real good name for a stick-up man. It seemed like it would be real easy for Machine Gun Kelly to point at some poor slob and say, that's the guy who ratted me out, Lefty. Finish him off. So Lefty's name is like the name of a stick-up man or an armed thief. And Machine Gun Kelly, who was a famous gangster, said, he ratted me out. Finish him off. So alias, using a false name. And it's a simile because his name was like a stick-up man, a name for a stick-up man. 5, made a break for it. Made a break for it. Started running towards something, escape. I tried to decide what to do. If I made a break for it, I was sure the coppers would plug me, but maybe Lefty Lewis would wrestle the gun away before they got a good shot off. Bud. Sorry, I left out the T in got. So I tried to decide what to do. If I made a break for it, I was sure the coppers would plug me, but maybe Lefty Lewis would wrestle the gun away before they got a good shot off. So the coppers are the police and Lefty Lewis and Bud. So made a break for it means escape. And it's an idiom. All right, listen, Pullman porters. We've talked about this in chapter 11. The position of porter was one of the best jobs available to African American men during the Depression, but they received very little pay. A porter was like a train butler or helper to passengers. A porter was expected to greet passengers, carry baggage, make up sleeping beds, serve food or drinks, clean the train, shine shoes, always smile, work up to 20 hours a day, arrive early to get the train ready with no pay. They had to pay if a passenger stole something. They made very little money except for tips. They had to pay for their own uniforms and had to pay for the shoe polish for the passengers. So, number 6, labor union. Labor union. A labor union is an organization of workers formed to help them get better pay and working conditions. So a labor union is an organization of workers. They are united. That's what the word union comes from. They're united. They form a union because they are together. They're an organization of workers formed to help them get better pay and working conditions. The porters created a union so they could get better pay and working conditions. The Pullman porters' creation of a union was the first step in the civil rights movement. So here's a quote. A union is like a family. It's when a group of workers get together and try to make things better for themselves and their children. Lefty Lewis. So a union is like a family. So that is a simile. Listen closely. Another type of figurative language is metaphor. A metaphor is a comparison of two things. You do not use the words like or as in a metaphor. For example, the racer was a lightning rod coming across the finish line. Number 7, loot. The word is loot, stolen money or valuables, loot. Uh-oh, maybe this was loot from a bank that him, Lefty, and Al Capone had knocked over. Maybe Lefty Lewis would have to rub me out if I saw what was inside. Bud. So Lefty's box was loot. Maybe this was loot. So he's comparing the box to loot, stolen money or valuables. And Al Capone is a famous gangster during the Depression, a mob boss. And that's a metaphor. Number 8, it's curtains. It's curtains. The end of life, time to die. So when you went to a play or a show, they would close the curtains, and that meant it was the end of the show. So that's probably where they got the phrase, it's curtains, the end of life, time to die. It's an idiom. So Lefty Lewis said this, Bud, you know it would have been curtains for us if that copper would have seen what's in there. He tapped the top of the box. Lefty Lewis. So the copper is police, and there they are in the car with the box. If the copper would have seen what was in the box, it would have been curtains. we would have been in big trouble. All right, check your work. Chapter 12, words 1 to 8. Number 1, flimsy, weak and easily broken, cheaply made, flimsy. Number 2, telegraph, machine that sends coded messages. Number 3, to rat out, an idiom to tell on or tattle. 4, alias, using a false name, often to hide, also known as or AKA. So if you need to finish these words, if you haven't gotten the synonym or the quick sketch, push pause. Make sure all 4 words are written with the synonym or short definition, and then a quick sketch. When you're finished, push play. Number 5, made a break for it. That's an idiom, started running towards something, escape. Number 6, union, an organization of workers formed to help them get better pay and working conditions. Union. Number 7, loot, stolen money or valuables, loot. Number 8, it's curtains, an idiom, the end of life, time to die. It's curtains. All right, again, make sure you have all 4 words, and a synonym or short definition, and a quick sketch. If you need to finish this, push pause, finish all 4 words, 5 to 8, and when you're done, push play. Time to reflect on your learning target. What was it? I can use pictures and context clues to help me understand important words from chapter 12 of Bud Not Buddy. 4, I could teach this lesson. I wrote all the words, I wrote all synonyms and definition, and I drew all sketches or pictures. 3, I could help others with this lesson. I wrote all the words, I wrote all synonyms and definitions, and I drew all sketches and pictures. Number 2, I understood and completed some. I wrote some of the words, some of the synonyms, definitions, and some sketches. Or 1, I understood and completed little. I wrote little to no words, I wrote little to no synonyms or definitions, and I drew little to no sketches or pictures. So how do you think you did? 4, 3, 2, or 1? Well, thank you for joining me for chapter 12 of Bud Not Buddy, words 1 to 8. I hope you have a great day.